Are you prepping to live or are you prepping to die? That's a question that I've been asking for a long, long time. Of course, when you mention the word prepping, automatically a lot of people want to uh, put their mindset towards, beans, bullets, and band aids, right? And rightfully so to an extent. So, beans, bullets, and band aids. A lot of preppers have that pretty squared away. If not, you should. However, you have heard this before that the moment that you start getting into your supplies and using them, a timer starts. I implore you to focus on what to do at that particular point in time. That the time that timer starts, the time that your resources are starting to be used and not replenished. That is the time that you need to be thinking about right now. The other thing that I think really gets ignored is the quality of life. So, back in the day, way before my time, I'm sure way before any of your time, they didn't have MTV. They didn't have Spotify, which I know MTV is like done now. Ain't that sad? Like, I was there for the birth and the burial of MTV. That's just bizarre. But anyway, I mean, the death actually happened a long time ago when they started putting reality TV on MTV. It was no longer music television, it was reality television. But I digress. I think it's imperative that people put back things for entertainment. Yeah, probably odd for people that know me for any length of time. You know that one of my biggest criticisms for society as a whole is they spend too much time involved in activities to be entertained. In other words, sitting on their ass with the remote control in their hand. The not so nice way to put it. I would encourage you to start looking into how you are going to replace those supplies. Not just. I made a video about this too, not real long ago, about gardens. People really think their gardens are going to save them, and I'm sorry, I'm a realist. I am not going to lead you down a path to failure just so I can stick my chest out and say that, oh, look at me, I'm on YouTube, I made a video, I'm helping. Because the people that are encouraging you to put your focus on your garden for SHTF are leading you down a dark path. I'm not telling you not to garden. Lo and behold, that would be ignorant. I'm not telling you not to garden. What I'm telling you is you need to be realistic. How much of your yearly food supply will that garden provide you? And then compound the issue and say that there's weather issues. I don't know, too dry, too wet, too windy. That is dependent on your survival at that point. And if you have not thought about how to go beyond that to replenish those supplies, I implore you to do so. The prepping channels on YouTube just keep running around and parroting each other, saying the same shit over and over and over again. None of them are thinking outside of the box. None of them are talking about what you need to do at that moment that you start using your supplies and you need to start coming up with a way to replenish them. That is the conversation that needs to be had. Not talking about current events and daily news and all the bullshit they do just to try to pump out content to stay relevant so that they can keep checking in the money. Because, make no mistake, that's what it's about. These people aren't here with the primary focus to help you, and most of them will outright tell you that. Not in those words, but they'll tell you things like Patreon and the funds that they make from Patreon is what makes their content possible. And if they didn't get that, if they weren't being paid for their personal opinion on the daily, then, well, I'm just going to take my ball and go home. Good. Take it. Go home. People are looking for help when they come here. Now, I use YouTube for a lot. Not to learn about prepping, mind you. Not necessarily to get the truth about news. But if I've got something to repair, I most certainly will pop up a video before I go to work. And it doesn't matter what it is. All the small equipment, the snow blowers, lawnmowers, all that kind of stuff, I absolutely watch a video on it before I tear into it. Because there could be some stupid little clip, there could be this, that, or the other thing, and I don't want to break it just because I've not taken one of those identical, particular machines apart. There could be something different. My number one rule, don't make it worse. I don't want to make it worse. So, investing 15, 20, 30 minutes of time to prepare to do the job, because that's what it is preparation for the job. I do the job, and I usually have little to no issues getting the job done. And I am blessed and thankful for YouTube. It's great for those things. Learning preparedness, not so much. I don't just rail against these channels because I've got nothing better to do. I don't rail against them because I am jealous of them. That one I really don't understand. No. I'm not probably what you would consider the average person. There's a lot of people that if they could be somebody else, they would choose to be that other person, whether it be an entertainer, some type of an idol, whatever. Not I. I don't want to be anybody else. No. God made me for a reason. God made me this way for a reason. Wanting to be someone else or something else is directly slapping God in the face and saying that what you created here is not worthy and it needs to be changed. You can piss in God's Cheerios if you'd like. I don't want to. I'll be me. I'm not jealous. Not jealous. Because when things do go upside down, I am the guy that has spent his entire life preparing for it. Why would I be jealous of individuals that can't take the time to edit their videos, that wouldn't be able to pour piss out of a boot if the instructions were on bottom, and can do nothing but parrot the same old crap that everybody else parrots. What is there to be jealous of? A bunch of fakes and frauds? Nah. Nah. Like I've said many times, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass, and I'm damn well not going to let somebody blow it up mine. And I got way off where I was going, and that I apologize for. I was mentioning entertainment, and there was a very important thing. Make sure to put back music. Make sure to put back movies. I've got a ton. Oh, and along with that, that's all digital stuff. Just in case, never, never, never rely on anything digital or electronic. Always have an analog backup. Always. No exceptions. Always have an analog backup. Yeah, that means you're probably going to have to do without a whole lot of stuff. Well, let me tell you what. If we're not given a choice, we're not given a choice. You either prepare and plan for it, or you don't. Yeah, they aren't talking about this stuff either, are they? Yeah, because it's actually, they love to fearmonger people, and that cracks me up. They love to fearmonger people, but at the same time, they won't talk about any of the truly scary stuff because they have no answers. They have no add-to-cart solutions. I mean, how do you add to the Amazon cart a pole shift survival kit? You know what I'm saying? I mean, are they selling Noah's Arks on Amazon? Because I like to buy a couple. No. Anyway, back to the entertainment. Make sure you put back, of course, digital forms of music, movies, but also put back some instruments and just some games. Some decks of cards, more than one. Have backup decks of cards, because that would really, really be crappy to have a card or two missing out of your only deck of cards, and that's the only game. I mean, that would suck. Anyway, have things like that. Back in the day, and I was kind of going into this before I went off on my tirade. For that, I kind of apologize for it. I didn't intend to, but I just do. Make sure you have things like board games. Make sure you have things like actual instruments, like a guitar and, what have you, stuff like that. Because there are so many people that are preparing to die. They've got all the body armor, all the guns, all the ammo. They've got this, that, and the other thing, the night vision and all that stuff. But they don't have a single damn board game put back. They don't have a single file of MP3s put back. They don't have anything to be able to just kick back after a intense day and just have just even a smallest morsel of normalcy. It can be the difference between life and death, and I'm not saying that lightly. Because there are a lot of people that at this particular point in time, and I'm talking about SHTF, that will self-eliminate because they can't cope. So make sure you put back those things that will help you cope. Entertainment, music, movies, games. Very important. I would argue that it's more important to prepare to live than it is to prepare to die. But that's where I split off from the Hollywood prepping and reality prepping. here on the YouTubes, what you're going to see is going to be Hollywood prepping because it's all these people know. They've not really sat down and thought a lot of it out. And it's obvious. Why? All I got to do is keep repeating the same thing that everybody else is saying, and none of them will call each other out for it, so they're all good, right? Right. And then people like me are the bad guys when we go, wait a minute. What do you think you're doing? How? Now, it's a business for them. I came here day one and said I didn't have any intent on monetizing the channel, which I didn't. And then eventually we did monetize the channel, and we've lost monetization. You know, that has never been I thought, well, maybe if I can bring in a few bucks I can put towards projects and stuff like that, go for it. I've spent a fair amount of money on this channel, buying camera equipment and audio equipment and stuff like that. I have spent copious amounts of hours behind the screen learning how to make this type of an edit, how to make that type of an edit, doing this or that. I could show you, I could open up my last video that I made and posted, and I could show you how I go in because of my issue with my sinuses, COPD and stuff. You know, I have to cough and clear my throat a lot and stuff like that. I can show you where I went into that video, and you would not know the difference. What I do is I chop the audio right before and after I clear my throat or cough, and I drop that volume down to 0. So you don't even hear it. You don't hear me clearing my throat, or you don't hear me coughing. I do that because you don't want to hear that nasty bullshit. And I'm not going to sit here and make you listen to that nasty bullshit and then act like I'm some big, I don't know what the fuck some of these people think they are. There's one of them that does this. It makes no sense to me why you would want to assault people's senses and then hold it in front of their face like they should be ashamed at somebody that has absolutely no class whatsoever, decency. I don't get it. And you can't make it make sense. I am not impressed by shitty human beings. Not even in the least. Anyway, I know we're at 18 minutes of my just rambling. I'm sorry, but man, I see a lot of people getting led down paths that just aren't all that realistic. And all comes down to making money. That's sad. But we, as individuals, have to be able to start asking the right questions and making the right moves, doing the right things. Because at the end of the day, we're responsible for our own fate. And there ain't no YouTube channel that's going to come and save your day. Make sure you are prepared for when that day comes. The fear-mongering over every little news event is beyond old. We've got stuff to worry about. We've got a freight train coming, heading right down the track at us. Might be a good idea to start talking about that freight train instead of making shit up to get people to click on your content. Just a thought. Shalom.